Video games have produced some of the most iconic sounds in consumer media and pop culture, with fighting games contributing quite a bit, even if you haven't realized it. Here, I'll play you some sounds.
Get over here! Fatality. Hadouken!
Chances are you've heard at least one or two of these sounds in your lifetime. Games like Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, and Marvel vs. Capcom have successfully etched themselves into the gaming landscape as we know it. But how important is sound in fighting games? Now, I'm sure you wouldn't hear a game and just go, yo, this is fire, I need to play this. Unless that game is third strike, of course. Obviously, though, it's not the thing selling copies. However, the love and effort put in by the developers just to make some really cool sounds rewards the player just by even booting up the game. So let's do that. Let's look at fighting game sounds and how they've impacted not only the casual audience, but the competitive audience as well. There are a few different aspects that make up the core soundscape of a fighting game. You've got the music, the sound effects, and the dialogue and voice lines.
You're pissing me off!
With the music, many look fondly back on tracks like the funky 10-second loop of the character select screen in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, the jazzy underground vibes of Alex's stage in Third Strike, or even the theme song for Guilty Gear Strive. It is indeed the smell of the game. Sound is intrinsically linked to the overall feel of the game, and plays a massive part in how the game is perceived by the audience. With it being one of the first, if not the first thing the player perceives when the game starts up, the sound is tasked with grabbing the player's attention and engaging them beyond the core fighting aspect. Dare I say that it helps define the vibes of the game. I hate to bring it up so much, but it's such a shining example that I just can't not mention Street Fighter 3, but when you hop into this game, the vibes are set immediately by the music right off rip. You know this is a late 90s boom bap hip hop era vibe because it screams it at you almost all the time, via the character select screen, the main theme of the game, and even some of the stages.
Select to make your first pick. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Choose and pick the best one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Past this, of course, you've got the menu sound effects and the announcer voices, which I feel is more of an extension of the sound effects library, since announcers tend to be present in other places outside of the fight, and man, when a game has an announcer like Ultimate Marvel 3, you just get this feeling of joy because this chick is just ready for you to kick some ass.
Capcom presents!
You bet your f***ing ass they do. I also love that in the character select screen, the guy has a whole speech to give you before you start fighting, which is awesome.
Marvel vs. Capcom 3. That's right, the third chapter. The superheroes are all here. Who will rise to the top?
Couple that with the tactile clicks and various swooshes and whooshes for menu navigation, and that kind of ear candy is just... It's part of what makes games like these special, so when these types of attention to detail are missing, it feels weird. Like, imagine Melee without the menu noises or the announcer just never being present. You can't do goofy shit like this. It also just feels weirdly empty. Moving on though, once your attention is grabbed by stuff like this and you're vibing out, your ears may dial into something a little more granular, like the sound effects when you're in a match. Usually when you punch someone, it doesn't make a sound, it just kind of sounds like... That sound that you hear from the game upon impact, however, tells the player one of two things. Hey kid, you're doing a pretty good thing beating the shit out of that guy over there. Or, hey kid, you kind of fucking suck actually. It adds to the experience and immersion of the gameplay that both rewards and punishes the player depending on which side of the ass beating you're on. Same thing with the vocals from the characters themselves. What, you think I play Terry in Japanese because I want to be authentic? Nah. I want to hear him say funny Japanglish, okay? Are you okay? Oh, dude, if the game has a fucking parry mechanic in it, bro, it gets my blood pumping, man. Yes! Yes! Hitting a perfect parry in SF6 is just... All of these elements tie together to give the player an experience beyond watching the game. It invites you to get to know the game, maybe go on a date with the game, hold hands with the game. Tell the game how much you love it. I love you, Third Strike. It's evident that in games nowadays, and especially older games, developers want you to really enjoy the sounds produced by the various sound teams that work on these games. I mean, for Christ's sake, there's a reason why motherfuckers knew who the Capcom and Sega sound teams were. The average player may not think about this, but when it comes to the sound design, there's a lot that has to go into this in order to make everything flow as if it's just naturally a part of the world these characters live in. Not only does each character have their own unique set of sounds, but so does the world itself. All these sounds have to be mixed and mastered in a way where they don't overpower each other, but also are impactful enough to stand out. It's even cooler to think about this when games include little Easter eggs from the sound team. Take, for example, things like the sound tests that you would find in not just fighting games, but other video games. It was a place where you could go out of your way to listen to tracks, sound effects, and voice lines. Some modern games like Smash Ultimate still have these, and it's just such a nice treat to go through and listen to the various sounds that these developers have created. So what's the key takeaway here? Really, it's just to kind of have people remember that game development is really hard. Sound design, pretty hard. And for a casual audience, yeah, sound is important, but it does hold an even more important value to those that compete. So I'm going to segue into the next part of my video, which is about competition. Sound is one of those things we don't really think about until it's gone, sort of like a white noise effect. You may play Street Fighter with the music and sound effects on, but how would that feel if it was suddenly turned off? Those aspects I talked about earlier, like the music, sound effects, and dialogue, guess what? They're back, baby! Each of these can play into competitive play in one way or another, and can vary greatly from person to person. You may play with just the stock sound settings as is and just call it a day, while others may rock their own headphones and listen to their own music when they play and never ever really play with the sound on at all. But does that really matter in the heat of competition? Yes, of course it does. Why wouldn't it? Anyway, here's why. Recently at Blink Respawn, several pros complained about how the audio was having issues, which for a major qualifying tournament is viewed by many as unacceptable, especially considering how much money is on the line for these players. And it makes sense. You have these players grinding for hours and hours, listening and looking for specific sounds. So when you're thrown into a situation when the things you're used to aren't present, it's tough to adapt in an already high pressure environment. It's like studying for a test and then the test has shit on it that you just never studied for. Unfortunately, this has been an ongoing problem in the FGC and will probably continue to be a problem for who knows how long. This excerpt from Lord Knight about how sound, or really lack thereof, turned the tide of a set that should have been otherwise a fairly even set.
Now there's actually a classic BB one. This tournament's not around anymore. Someone flew from the UK to play, right? Like the top UK BB player flew over. The night before the top 8, I'm playing everybody. I'm destroying I'm like, oh my god. Not only am I right that this character, this werewolf butler, is broken as fuck, which was true, but I'm cooking everybody. I'm beating the British player, and the British player plays the same character. He played him for a long time. I played this character for like 4 months. I'm like, oh my god, he's so broken. I'm popping off. Wake up next day, whoever set up the sound system did it wrong, and there's no headsets. So the audio for the game is delayed by like a second. And the character takes execution. So everyone is dropping shit, but the UK player listens to music while he plays. So he can't hear shit. So he's just playing normally, cooks everybody. And I'm like, I was super mad. And I was like, you know what, man? Like, in the end, we all had the same weakness, and he had a solution no one else did. So it's like, can I really be mad?
Funny story about this, actually. I was at my local one day doing some warm-up reps before the tournament, and I wasn't wearing the headphones, but the TV above us, it was on and it was playing sound. And because you have this setup between like a PS5 and then 2 monitors and a TV, there's a delay on the TV. And because I wasn't wearing headphones, but the TV was loud as fuck, that delay was just destroying my concentration. I just could not focus on the matches before turning. And not blaming that for the reason I fumbled tournament, because I'm just frankly just kind of ass, but it does really play into obliterating that concentration that you need to focus on, especially if you are looking for audio cues. Now let's talk objectively for a second. Even though it does seem like sound is a personal preference, studies have shown that humans tend to catch audio faster than video and can vary anywhere from 20 to 60 milliseconds faster depending on the person. So it could be seen how having the audio for a game could be genuinely advantageous in a high pressure situation. That being said, there are cracked out players and anomalies everywhere nowadays, but that does beg the question, should you train with or without sound? I think that saying that this is a personal preference thing is a huge understatement. It truly depends on the person. Some people try to find headphones that emphasize the sound. Some choose to use in-ear monitors for whatever reason, apparently. Some people only have their own headphones in and never listen to the game itself. I personally never have Street Fighter's music playing, and oftentimes don't have the sound turned up, or it's drowned out by whatever else I have playing in the background, and it's not always music. I've actually been trying to shift my focus on this to be more auditory because it is very important to be able to identify not only the visual cues, but the audio cues as well. An example of important audio cues would be something like Ken's Jinrai. Each variation has a different thing Ken says depending on if it's a light, medium, or a heavy variation of the move. Contrast this with a visual cue with someone like Akuma, where his fireball animation is almost completely different depending on if the player holds the attack button or not. These are just some quick examples, but the list just goes on and 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 on. Even still, I've got questions and I need answers to them. Let's see what the wonderful folks at 404 Esports here in Atlanta, Georgia have to say about this.
My tag is Archway. I play Street Fighter 6, and I main Ken and JP.
My gamer tag is Bahamut, and I main Blanca, and I have a pocket Bison.
I'm Noodle, and I play Aki.
My name is Musa, and I play DJ in Street Fighter 6. A little bit of Elena on the side too, but that's not here or there right now. So.
And my name is Rock Sabo, and on Street Fighter, I play Zangief.
Yeah, I play with the in-game music and sound on. It's just the default that comes with the game. I like to have that game's aesthetic be a part of it while I'm in it. Sometimes I'll put my own music on, but it kind of takes me out of the immersion a little bit.
Depends on my mood. Sometimes I'll put on like my own soundtrack in the background. Other times I will play with just the game sounds and no music, depending on how seriously I'm taking the match.
I can only play the game with sound. I need to hear certain like audio cues in order to react to some stuff. Like especially, I mean I can do it without it, but like Aki's like crouch heavy kick into supers, I usually use like the actual like audio of it hitting because it sounds different if they get hit versus blocking. So that's like a big thing that I do.
Nah, I play with sound. Yeah, I generally play with sound. Audio cues I think help for the most part. I've been playing fighting games since tournaments since like 2011, and having sound cues is very helpful, especially in some certain games.
No, I have to play the game with sound, especially if I'm like genuinely trying in like a tournament or I'm trying against someone I really want to beat. If I'm playing without sound, I'm genuinely at a disadvantage because I don't know why, I just love sound. But if I'm playing casual, I don't mind playing without sound.
So when I first started, it definitely did, because you go to smaller tournaments and a lot of them don't have headphones, so you just kind of have to look at the game. But with a lot of experience, I've gotten used to it, and it's not as bad. You kind of just drown out the background noise.
It would affect me during competition. I have ADHD, so I have sensory issues. So a lot of sound can throw me off. Sometimes, like when I'm in the heat of a match, when I'm online ranking and I'm on call with friends, I have to remove my headphones because I am just so invested and so tilted in the moment. I cannot listen to my friends speak.
No, it's you need to be able to hear. It would be impossible to play. I think you could argue it's still playable, but like you're missing out on so many small things, and there's a lot of moves that look the same at different different speeds, like Ken, Jinrai, light and medium. You if you know the counterplay, you can just listen out for which one it is. If like I think all of them look the same, but I can differentiate it by what he says, so I can know, okay, I can actually press a button here or not.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, not really super. Actually, that's super hard if I think about it. Like sometimes, like you play this game on repeat so many times, the sounds are just kind of, you just kind of imagine them already kind of happening. I would say for something like, let's say Marvel vs. Capcom 3, you call the Doom missile assist or Sentinel drones, and you can't hear them, and then you're all super jumped in the air, so they're not on screen. You usually have the little indicator, but then you got to come here and just kind of hold a mix. Like I think for stuff like that, it's really helpful.
ITO at 404. I see a lot of perspectives, and I'm not super tournament heavy, so I don't participate too much in tournaments myself, but from the feedback I've heard, it's actually kind of hard to play with an audience genuinely reacting and making sound in the background. So I think like just focusing on the game is the most important thing.
Definitely visual cues. The audio cues help a lot. Like, especially in Street Fighter, different strength moves will have different audio cues. But I mainly just look, like if it's a light version, it'll go faster. If it's a heavy version, it'll go slower, that kind of thing.
I'm more of a visual cue kind of player, but I'm aware of the importance of audio cues within fighting games, especially when it comes to accessibility, even to blind people, because I know there's quite a few top Street Fighter players who are actually blind.
I mean, it's just a case-by-case basis. Like, obviously, if I see a jump in, I'm gonna DP, but I think it is kind of an audio thing, too, because, like, against someone like Akuma, reacting to jump in versus demon flip, hearing the, like, that crazy noise that happens whenever he does demon flip, like the versus just hearing nothing and seeing him jump. I'll know to DP him or not to DP him, and that's something to go through my mind. So I think I unconsciously listen out for audio cues more than the visual ones, truthfully.
I'd say for more visual cues, if I'm being honest. I'm looking for counter hit, punish counter, those type of things in the game. Usually, audio feels like it helps though. It's like a supplement. Yeah.
Gotcha. You don't have to have it, but like when you do have it, it's a little evident.
Yeah. And I think especially compared to like older tournaments back in the day where you basically were not guaranteed headphones and all that, you kind of had to like adjust on the fly sometimes, man. I still remember going to some final rounds and just being like, I can't hear nothing, bro.
I think visual cues. Yeah, definitely. So, like, if I'm opening my eyes, definitely visual cues. I'm closing, right? Yeah, that makes sense. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much when you're starting. I mean, sound is going to draw you into the game. Like when you first learn it, you're like, oh, this music's awesome, or oh, I love how this character sounds. But you're not going to really worry about audio cues until you get to a much higher level. You could even not worry about them at all because the visual design in these games is so good. It's definitely something you can use to optimize your punishes and reacting to things.
It's all personal preference. One thing that I will say is when you come to locals and you're like in front of people and you're no longer just behind your screen, something you're going to start to hear is the other person's controller, if they're on like a hitbox or if they're on a fight stick. And what will sometimes happen is you'll start listening to them and cueing in on when they're doing their moves. But sometimes what more experienced players will do is they will fake out their buttons in order to make you press a button and they can just whip punish you.
You can still play the game without sound. Like, I don't think that it's that difficult. It's just like, if you grow accustomed to playing the game with sound, you're gonna have to have it. But like, there's a lot of top level players right now who are choosing to play the game without sound as much as they can because like tournament setups are not guaranteed to have it. I know Blink Respawn specific, like I remember that happened and people were like, oh, there's no headphones. I couldn't even hear the audio. So there's people who are just trying to get used to not playing the game without audio. So when that time comes, they won't be too hindered. I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world. I think you'll be fine without it. But there's so many like very like small instances where I'm like, I don't know if I'd be able to mentally process this with sight before sound. And especially in a fighting game where it's like every like millisecond counts, you're kind of needing as much of an advantage you need there. You can get.
I think it's a personal preference thing. I got some homies who will like turn off the game, like they'll turn off the game music entirely, never heard the soundtrack, just play their own stuff, and but still play with like the sound effects so they at least kind of know what's going on and all that stuff. I've done that from time to time, but other times I just try to have as close to a tournament experience as possible, so I kind of just let the default settings rock, all that stuff. So I would just say like just kind of enjoy the package for what it is, and then the more you get into it, kind of tailor it to your needs and wants and kind of see,
If you really want to grow, it just depends how much you want to learn the game by watching it. I think I'm learning the game, Street Fighter especially, a lot from just watching it. Like I watched everyone play. I learned something from watching everyone, because everyone plays a different character basically. So I learned a lot of the game just watching.
Wow, that was really insightful. Thank you, people from 404 Esports here in Atlanta, Georgia, specifically Doraville, Georgia. Come by and hang out and play in some tourneys. They have tourneys for a bunch of different games, not just Street Fighter. So come show some love. You may see me. Now, with all that out of the way, let's dive into something a little bit more important than you may think it is. Games have come a long way in allowing players with various challenges in their lives to be able to experience the joy of playing video games, with fighting games being absolutely no exception. And the FGC has seen its fair share of high-level players with various impairments still putting belt to ass in the community, with players like Broly Legs, rip my goat, and Sven the Blind Warrior being an example of such cases. Street Fighter 6 in particular has an interesting list of accessibility features for audio that take the importance of sound to the next level, and I briefly wanted to discuss and look through settings like these. If you go over to the audio settings in Street Fighter 6, you'll notice a couple of different menus, namely the detailed sound effects volume settings and the in-battle accessibility settings. And man, even without the accessibility menu, there's a lot in here you can fine-tune to really boost damn near any aspect of the battle. Like, the fuck do you mean you could change how loud the clothes sound? Seriously though, you should take a second to go and check out all these settings. It's actually quite impressive how thought out a lot of these are. You've got stuff for how close the opponent is, if it's a high, mid, or low attack, drive gauge status, like that's all really impressive and specific things the devs had to consider, and it's what allows players like Sven to play the game at the level that they do. If you ever check out one of his streams, you can see these settings in action.
Let's go.
In fact, recently, he put out a video reviewing the accessibility features of Marvel's Tokon during the recent open beta, which is really neat and worth the watch if you're curious just how integral sound can be for the player. It's interesting to see how far things have come with the development of accessibility settings in games, especially fighting games. So definitely don't take this kind of stuff for granted, because you never know who may need this, and hey, if they're using it and they're whooping your ass, I mean, that's all respect right there. So the TLDR. Is sound important? Extremely, on all fronts. It not only led to some of the most iconic sound bites in all of gaming, but the deeper you go, the more intricately connected it becomes to the player experience on a competitive level. Looking at modern games like Street Fighter 6 or Tekken, every character has such an in-depth level of sound design that can be appreciated at all levels, and it really shows. There's a lot of love and care that goes into this aspect of development that sometimes I feel we take for granted, and for those that rely on sound to be able to experience the game to their fullest extent, I hope that new innovations only continue to enhance the experience for all of you. Next time you boot up the game to play a quick sesh, man, make sure you stop, listen, and appreciate all the hard work that these devs have put into the creation, the mixing, and mastering of all these sounds that are such an important aspect of fighting game culture. This has been Sam Yost. Thank you for watching. And yeah, man, I'll see you in the next one. Have a good week, bro.